Sarah, otherwise known as Yarnmugs on Instagram and Ravelry. Welcome to my 13th podcast. Today is Monday the 22nd of February 2021 and this is my podcast about knitting, crochet and my beginner sewing journey. Welcome if you are new. I hope you like what you see, and huge welcome back to those returning viewers who keep leaving me such lovely comments, and yeah, it's really lovely to receive them after each podcast, and I'm really pleased that you're enjoying what I'm showing you, and it's lovely just having that interaction with you. So let's get on with the podcast. Last time I talked about a chunky crochet blanket I was making for my sister-in-law. I did finish that and I've gifted it, and I forgot to take any photos, so there's no photos on Instagram, and which is quite unusual for me not to take a single photo. I was really pleased with the end product. When I showed you last time, it was looking quite dense, not very sort of drapey, but it was Stylecraft Special DK. I had 3 strands held together, and once I washed it and tumble dried it, it was really drapey, and she was really happy with it. So I was really pleased to get that done in time. And then after that, I thought I'd have a big tidy up of all my stash. Lots of podcasters I've been watching recently have been showing all of their stash and sort of talking about it. And I really like to be organised, and I don't really like it when I feel like, you know, cupboards are overflowing, and I'd got to that point really that I just thought everything just felt like I had too much stuff. So I decided to go through it all, and I found a pre-wound and it was a 6-strand, massive. It was huge. It was about, you know, this big, and I decided just to use it up because I thought it's just taking up loads of room in my box. Yeah, so I really do like, you know, using things up, and if not, getting rid of them, gifting them or charitying them. So this is what I made. It isn't anything in particular that I want to wear, but as soon as I finished it, my daughter grabbed it. So it's just to give you an example of what a 6-strand, so it's DK weight, 6 strands held together, really chunky crochet. You can see there, look at that sort of chain. And I just sort of was doing grannies back and forth. So it's quite long. Wasn't really following a pattern. I just thought I'm just going to chain, I'm just going to start doing it, see how far I get, and I still managed to sort of do a bit of a, just not clusters, but just a treble edge. I mean, you know, if you want to wear it like that, it's nice, but I wouldn't probably wear it. But I was just trying to use up my yarn and use it for something. And she keeps wrapping herself up in it, making herself cozy. So yeah, and again, this is Stylecraft, just a mixture. But it's lovely, isn't it? I used a 20mm hook for that. It's not particularly enjoyable crochet for me. I do find that quite difficult, you know, and it's big. But it was really nice just to turn it into something that looks pretty decent, but yeah, she can use. So if you weren't using it like to wrap around your shoulders, it is quite nice as a lap blanket, and does sort of cover your knees. And again, nice and drapey. But I just wanted to sort of show you an example of a big chunky make. Quite nice in those autumnal colours, isn't it? But yeah, it is really squidgy. Last time I also showed you I was doing a test knit for Lyndsey from Stitch Create Love. Oh, I've got all yarn in my tea. Get rid of that, sorry. Yeah, I was doing the Spring is in the Air cowl, and I finished that, and that pattern has now been released. So here's the cowl, and the motif is meant to be like a heart shape. Don't know if you can really see it on there. Maybe, oh yeah, that's better if I show you individually. So yeah, you can sort of see the little like heart, or she says upside down, it looks a little bit like a leaf. And I picked these really lovely minis from an old Norah George yarns Christmas advent calendar from a few years ago. I'll put it on to show you. It's a really lovely style because it just sort of stays around your neck. Oh, it's lovely. And stays up, which is really nice. Oh, it's such a pretty pattern. It's really easy. I'd encourage anyone to get any of Lyndsey's patterns. They are so well written, but this cowl is lovely. Really lovely. So it's finger and weight yarn, but look at that. That's the kind of thing, that's what you want from a cowl, isn't it? To actually fit around your neck. And I've got another one that sort of really drapes open and I'm having to always bend it, but this is just perfect. And you could do that if you're really cold walking along, couldn't you? Because that's where I get cold, on my nose and breathing in cold air. So, oh, it's really lovely. Well done, Lyndsey. It's a beautiful pattern. And she, the design was with minis, but you know, other people have made it in one skein. I mean, one colour. I love it. It fits so nice. I was going to gift this, but I might not. I'll probably keep it for myself. Yeah, and it's lovely yarn. I think it didn't say what the yarn was. I'm sure it's superwash merino, like merino and nylon. And I didn't wash it in the machine. I just blocked it in, you know, washed it in the sink. But isn't it lovely? So yeah, don't be put off if you're worried about lace knitting. It's a very simple pattern, really easy, and a lovely finished, finished object. Oh, it's really nice. You can really see the shapes there, can't you? Yeah, so I'm really pleased with that. But yeah, check out Lyndsey. I've done 2 of her test knits, socks and now this cowl, but she's in the process of designing a sweater. So yeah, I would eagerly buy any of her patterns because she is such a good pattern writer. It's so clear. Yeah, so check Lyndsey out on Stitch Create Love. Oh, it's a bit chilly in here. Hope you're all right. Yesterday was quite warm. We had the doors open here, the patio doors, all day long, even till 10 o'clock at night. It was lovely. But this morning it's feeling a bit chilly. I treated myself to something the other day. I don't know if you've seen these. Look at that. Everything it's like felt, but all hand stitched. It's a little pin cushion. And this is by Hannah Doodle Craft, I think. Let me see, let me just check. I saw someone show hers and I was just so tempted. Let me just look her up just to check. Hannah Doodle Crafts. And she makes all sorts of sort of, you can see they're really pretty, cutesy handmade things. So yeah, I didn't know how big it was going to be, and when it came I just thought, oh, it's tiny, but that's what you need for a pin cushion. But isn't it, it's so cute, isn't it, this face? And green tea, that is my tea of choice. And I just thought of that as I was taking a sip of my green tea and thought, oh, how sweet. And I love green. Yeah, so check out Hannah Doodle Crafts. Yeah, she's got lots of sweet little makes on there. Then I think after I'd finished the blanket and the cowl, I had absolutely nothing on my hooks or needles. And I think I mentioned last time I wanted to cast on I want to say Nuuk or Nuuk sweater, Nuuk. I had bought some yarn from Love Crafts and I decided to get a cheap yarn and a bit more expensive yarn, and then I was going to make 2 garments with it, and just to see the comparison of the price and the feel of the yarn. So what I've decided to do is use Stylecraft Special, let's have a look, is it Aran? Yeah. Stylecraft Special Aran, and it's in the dark brown colourway. So it's this yarn. So it's acrylic yarn, but I really just wanted to make a sweater and see how that came out. The last few sweaters I've made, I've not really got the sizing right, and I just thought, oh, I just want to have a go at a different sweater, cheaper yarn, and then if I like the sweater and I've got the gauge and the size right, then I could make it a more expensive yarn. But I'm really, really pleased with it. So anyone that doesn't like knitting sleeves, this is the sweater for you, because as soon as you separate for the sleeves, you do the rib. Now, I made a little bit of a mistake and I sort of picked up my stitches and I then knit another round. So I've got a little bit of a ridge, but I mean, I'm going to call it a design feature because it looks quite sweet. But how handy is that? That feeling of getting to the splitting for the sleeves and then you've done the sleeves. So I did that. As soon as I split, I thought I'm just going to carry on, and I finished one and then did the other, and then I picked up the neck, because I've never done that before, where you don't start with the rib as a top down, you start from here. And that was the only difficulty I had. It didn't describe how many stitches to pick up. It did say that. It did say how many to pick up, but there were far more stitches than what it was suggesting. And I went on Ravelry and looked on, previous makers to see what they'd said, and I think some people were just picking up every other one, and that's what I ended up doing. It's lovely. So I'm nearly done. I feel like it's sort of on my natural waist here. So this is my third 100-gram ball, and in total, that sweater might have only cost me about £6 to make. I mean, how amazing is that? It's lovely and soft. I'm really pleased with the shape. I love that raglan shaping. And I think this was created by doing knit one in the front and back loop. That is so neat. Really love that. Love the colour. Love that I'd be able to wear, a jersey t-shirt underneath it if I wanted. But the fact it's sort of going to be fairly cropped on my, around my waist. I did just weigh this. I've got 50 grams left, and I really want to... Oh, it's just started raining. I really want to be able to use every single bit up. So the next round I do, I'm going to weigh the yarn after to see how many grams it takes to do a whole loop, a whole round. And then I have to do 6 rounds for the rib. So yeah, I'll work it out so that I can make the most of every bit of this yarn, which is another thing I love doing. But I can't believe, I've got this made in February. I just cast it on right at the beginning of February, but I love it. What do you think? It's a brilliant sweater. I don't know if I've ever said this before, and I presume that people look, in the description box below the podcast, I always link and write everything that I've talked about. So with the designer and possibly a link to the Ravelry page, check out below who it's by. But yeah, I'm really pleased. I don't know again whether I did follow. I didn't do a swatch, but I'm using the needles it suggested, which was a 5mm and a 4 for the ribbing. But in fact, I didn't do 4 for this because I didn't have any small 4 circulars, so I carried on with the 5, but that's fine. Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it? I'm really pleased. Don't know if you can really see, it's coming out a bit lighter on the screen. It is quite dark, sort of chocolate brown. So that's the first February make. And then the next yarn, so I bought this both at the same time from Love Crafts. I bought some Cascade 220, but in the Heathers range. Now, I've used one skein of Cascade 220 before, and it was lovely and soft. It was a grey yarn, but I've never used the Heathers yarn. I'll show you it in the... It looks sort of quite squash. When it came, I was like, oh, that looks a bit unusual. There's lots of different tones in there. And this is in the colour Shire, number 2445. And it's 100% Peruvian Highland wool. So no nylon in it, just all pure wool. Yeah, I think it's quite, oh sorry, jogged you then, quite soft. So what I decided to make with this is the, oh, what's it called? I've got my little book here. Funday Cardi by Iron Lamb. And it's coming up lovely. You can really see all the different colours. It's almost like a fleck of sort of a yellowy bit to it. So you make this, it's like the front and the backs together till you get to the armpit. And I think I'm nearly there. I'm making the shortened version. So it's again on my waist. Yeah, sort of nearly there. Got a few more rows to go. Now, again, I've made this in a smaller than me size, because again, I do have this tendency to make things too big. So I'm making this in the size 14. Oh, it's lovely, isn't it? I've not always been very successful with crochet garments, but yeah, I'm really pleased with this. I love that rib. I love doing front and back post trebles. I think that creates a really nice look. So yeah, I'm really pleased. So again, this is a little bit more expensive than the Stylecraft, but not, you know, super expensive. And hopefully in March I'll have 2 new garments. How lovely does it look with this? I'll talk about this in a bit. And that's what I'm really trying to think of lately. All the dresses I make, you know, I'm trying to think, well, if I'm going to make a garment, it's got to be able to go. It's got to match with something. Oh, that's all come unravelled, sorry. But yeah, it's definitely, when I first got it out, I did think, oh, it's quite a stiff, not very soft yarn. But the more, since using it, it's definitely coming up nice. Yeah, lovely. Like I say, I love green. I think green and blue, I think are probably my favourite colours. I'm not very good at tying them back up. Yeah, so again, I got 3 skeins of that. So I suppose that's what I was trying to work out. I wonder if I can get a garment out of 3 skeins of something. I know crochet sometimes is a bit more yarn hungry. So it's whether 2 more skeins of yarn, will that be enough to give me the rest of the front, the arms and the sort of the edging. We'll see. I can always order 1 more if need be. But yeah, I'm really pleased with that. I'm using a 5mm hook for this, and I did check my gauge today. I counted, and it is stretchy, so I imagine with blocking I can stretch it out, and I think I was literally 1 stitch too many, so as if I'm a bit tighter, but nothing made, you know, not enough, and I'm the right gauge length, you know, this way, row wise. So yeah, I'm pleased with that, but I suppose I could have gone up to a 5.5 and it would have made it a bit looser, but yeah, it does give it a nice texture, nice fabric. I don't think people, you know, people not in the know, I don't think people would realise that this is crochet. It looks knitted, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm really pleased with that. Okay. I don't know if I've ever shown this bag as well. It's like a little tote bag from Betsy Makes. A few years ago, I just was, well, I am obsessed with Betsy's or Sam's project bags, but this was just lovely. And it's so handy for a sweater. It's got a little pocket, really handy just to carry around with you. So yeah, I really love that. I'll just put these away. So that's my knitting and crochet makes. At one point, I think before I cast on, after I'd finished that, the blanket and the cowl, I just decided when I was having that tidy up to just go through all the crochet or all the Stylecraft yarns I had. I suppose over the years, whenever I make a blanket, I've got loads left over. So historically, I would have always just made a big granny square, but a previous pattern I'd done a few times, I think it's called the Dainty Diamond pattern. I really loved it, and I just thought, oh, I'm going to do that instead of a granny square going round and round. So I've made a few, can you sort of see the diamonds there? That one might not be big enough to see the bigger diamond. So I'm literally just using up all my odds and ends. I've got sort of a bigger one here. And I don't really know what the plan is, because normally I would just make one blanket, keep going round and round, and then I thought, well, shall I just do square, make a particular size? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's like a 15 round square, and then maybe crochet them together, because then there'll be I really like the look of that, like a log cabin style, a bit patchworky. Again, if you had these, all odd but crocheted together one day. So yeah, that's, when I haven't got anything else to do, just think it's so handy, so easy just to pick up the hook. It's a really lovely pattern. Oh, this was the leftover of that 6-strand ball. I knew that I wouldn't be able to get all the way around. I don't really know. I'll probably end up unravelling this and then using the individual strands to go in a square. But yeah, I've got absolutely loads of, again in my loop, this is another handy bag to put lots of yarn in, but every colour possible in there, all sorts of things. But I just don't like yarn hanging around, I want to make use of it. No point things just staying stuck in a drawer. And yeah, so look, whole bag, loads. I've got other spare acrylic yarn, but it's still got the label on, and I think, well, I don't want to crack into a new yarn when that could possibly go into a new blanket. So these are just literally all the odds and ends, all the leftovers. Yeah, so that's all the knitting and the crochet. Just gonna have a drink and then we'll chat about sewing. Now, before last week, I took some time off work. It's half term from schools, so I just wanted to take some time off to be with my daughter. Not that we could really do much, but just to be at home. And I'd had in my mind, right, this is the week I'm going to do some sewing. Oh, I should have bought the patterns. I'll link them down below. So yeah, I had in my mind, I wanted to use up some fabric that I'd had for about a year and some patterns that I really wanted to try. And this is all in preparation for my birthday. So I'm going to be 50 in May, and I'm trying to find the pattern that I like the best and the fit that I like the best, so that I can make a nice birthday dress. And I do keep a log of whenever I buy fabric, where I bought it from and when I bought it and how much it cost and like the meterage, because I think once it's folded up you do forget how much fabric you've got. So yeah, so I wanted to use up some fabric from my stash and try some new patterns. So the first pattern I wanted to try is the Lotta dress by Tilly and the Buttons. And it was only when I started to cut the dress out that I realised I didn't have enough fabric. So I'd cut the bodice out, and the Lotta dress, it's like got grown on sleeves, and the skirt is then gathered with elastic rather than gathering. And it creates quite a loose, big sort of circle skirt. So I didn't have enough of that. So I decided just to use up what I had and just create a skirt out of it. But sillily, when I was cutting the pattern, because it should be like an A-line shape of fabric, my pattern was like that from the waist and then went straight down. And so then when I sewed it up, it made me look like I had really triangular hips and then in. So luckily I've got an overlocker, and I was able just to sort of trim from the inside, trim that down, so it just made a bit more of a straighter skirt. I don't know if I'm explaining that well enough, but I'll show you. So this, actually let me get the fabric page up. Yeah, so this was one of the first ever fabrics I bought, and I bought it in April last year from Sew Me Sunshine. It's called Miranda Viscose Lawn. It's really lovely. Very nice drapey fabric, lovely to sew with. Quite big blooms, like the flowers for me, but I am really pleased with it. And after previously making an indigo dress in a size 6 with the tilly buttons that I think was a little bit big, I went down to a size 5, and it was perfect. It's perfect fit around the neck and the bust. And then there's the elastic channel, and you can see a little bit. Yeah, so you can see a little bit how it sort of puffs out a little bit. It's a bit like a tulip shape, and really that isn't the shape of the Lotta. It is an A-line dress. So it's fine. It's not perfect because I haven't followed the pattern perfectly for the skirt part, but I'm pleased with it. Yeah, I'll definitely wear it. And originally I put side seam pockets in, and that made that triangular shape even weirder, so I cut them out and then just overlocked inside. This is the joy of an overlocker, that just neatens everything up. You have no fraying, but I did, you know, it's a bit of a messy job rather than a nice neat finish. But this was 2 meters, so I think I probably needed nearly 3 meters to get that big skirt. But you know, at the end of the day, if I end up with a nice cool, how cool will that be in the summer? You can see it. Oh, it feels lovely. Really pretty. Yeah, so I don't know, I doubt this fabric is still available in her shop, but Sew Me Sunshine is a lovely online shop. Really good service, lovely packaging, very quick. So yeah, so that was the first one. And like I say, it's been such a long time since I've done any sewing. I just felt like I just needed, oh look, I've got my little label that my sister bought me. So that's quite nice. I haven't sewn those down, they're still loose. Yeah, so it just made me feel like, oh yeah, I've got back into sewing again and I know what I'm doing. And I sewed this in one day. So that's the first bit of sewing. The second one is the Cassie dress by Emporia. Again, I'll link down below. Now this is a beautiful, again, very simple, the sleeves, yeah, they're like grown on sleeves, and then you can either have 2 tiers with gathering or 3. And I went for 2 tiers. Oh, I absolutely love this. So this fabric, what one was this? I'll find it in a minute. Yeah, this is the fabric. It's called Khaki and Rose Petit Fleur. It's 100% cotton, and I bought this from Fabworks. They were a great service as well. I really was pleased with them. It's quite, I don't know how to describe it. There's like a bit running down here, you know, like as if there's little gaps. That's lovely. So you just think it's going to be lovely and cool. Oh, I'm so pleased with it. I'll show you it standing up. I put inseam pockets and they fitted perfectly in this first tier. So I just think, oh, that looks really lovely, lovely and neat. It does remind me of Little House on the Prairie, which I used to absolutely love. It's got a couple of, bust darts. So it's got the gathering and then a bottom tier. Now on the pattern, that tier was much shorter. Like on the picture on the pattern, it comes just above the knees, and I wanted it longer. And again, I wanted to use as much of the fabric up as possible, so I just made that a longer. When I've made things with 3 tiers, I think they look a bit too long on me, so I'm happy with the 2 tier just to be just below the knee. Oh, but I'm so happy with it. Very cool, very easy to make. It was so enjoyable. I really loved doing gathers, so that was just really enjoyable. And again, the overlocker, I mean, it just makes everything look so neat and professional. So yeah, I can't wait to wear that. Really lovely. That would look nice with my brown jumper, wouldn't it? But, so yeah, really pretty. With my labelling as well. And again, I made that in a day. So I had such a lovely couple of days of sewing, and really not stressful, really straightforward, lovely, easy patterns. And then I had to work, and then on my next day off, I thought, well, I'm going to make another dress. So I managed to make 3 dresses in 1 week, which I can't believe. And I decided I was going to make the Indigo dress from Tilly and the Buttons again, but make it in a smaller size. So I'd already traced out my size 6, and I just laid the tracing paper back on the pattern and then redrew and cut to make it a size 5. And this is what I'm wearing. And honestly, I'm over the moon with this. I just think it's really pretty. Now this fabric, now where did I get this from? Oh, sorry, should be, I'll find it in a minute. Oh yeah, so again, this was one of the first fabrics I bought last April, and I bought this from Material Girl Laura, who sadly doesn't sell fabric anymore, but she had always such beautiful fabrics and brilliant service. But this is called Botanicals Viscose, and I got 2 meters. And it cost $15.96. I mean, you couldn't buy a dress for that price, I don't think. How cheap is that? So I managed to get this Indigo out of 2 meters. I'll stand up and show you properly. So I definitely think it fits me better, the size 5, around the bust. I mean, they are Empire line design, so there's a lot of fabric, but I don't feel like it feels too big. I feel like, yeah, this is what the style is meant to look like. You know, it doesn't feel, the last one was much bigger on me around the shoulders. I put the pockets in the side. Now, the only thing that happened was I cut all of these patterns. They are quite fabric hungry because you have to cut a lot of the pieces on the fold. So that means that the material does have to be quite long. So for this, you cut a front skirt and a back skirt on the fold. I'd cut the front skirt and then forgot to cut the back. So then I had to use whatever fabric I had left over. There wasn't enough to cut it on the fold. So I actually just cut 2 pieces. I don't know if you're going to be able to see. No, you probably can't see, but I cut 2 pieces and then overlocked sewed and overlocked like a centre seam. So it just looks like I've got a line down the centre, but in fact you can barely see it. So, but it was the same amount of fabric, but it just wasn't cut on the fold. And I think that is the thing with sewing, isn't it? It's just trying to learn different ways of making the most of every bit of fabric, so that you're sort of careful and using what you can. But I love the puffiness of the gathers on the sleeves. I like this length of sleeve, sort of just you know, just below the elbow. There's no gathers there, it's just loose. And again, I've got another dress that I made that's got gathers, and it's constantly not sitting right, you know, sort of having to keep pulling it down. So just that looseness, I think, feels lovely. Oh, this is so pretty. I think, I was trying to think if this background is black or really navy blue. Can't really tell, but isn't it pretty? I'm wearing this with black leggings at the minute, so, you know, it goes with leggings. Now, last time I made the indigo, it took me three days to make, and this one took me 3 hours. I'd made the bodice in an hour, and I've got really good at being quite organised, so everything was cut out. I think the night before I'd even ironed on the interfacing, so that was all ready to go. I feel really comfortable and confident doing bust darts, so just everything just fell into place really easily. I did things a little bit different to what Tilly describes. Again, I just feel like I found it, you know, even quicker ways, but good ways of doing it. So when she does her gathers, she uses a different colour thread. She does 3 gathering lines, but I feel quite comfortable doing it 2, and I feel comfortable doing it in the same thread, and I can unpick any gathering stitches if you can see them, but I don't tend to, you know, they weren't really visible. They're all inside in the seam line. Also, her pockets, she sometimes puts interfacing in her pocket bit down the side, but again, I feel really confident doing pockets now, and I've got a good technique and I know how to do that. I've watched a few other tutorials where when you place the pocket facing right sides together with the fabric and you sew the pocket on, you then open it out and it's like you top stitch. I wonder if I can. You can't really see, but you top stitch it and it just gives that a bit of extra stability. So yeah, I feel really confident doing pockets. So everything just seems to come together really quickly. And again, like I keep saying, the gathering, I really love doing gathering. So that, whereas before, I remember when I first made that indigo, it just seemed to take ages. I was trying to be really careful with how I got my gathers, but yeah, I just feel, yeah, something has clicked where things feel pretty easy. So I'm really pleased with this indigo. It's got to be one of my favourite patterns. I definitely like this shape. I do love the shape of the Cassie as well. So again, that's a contender for a birthday dress. There's something quite childlike about this sort of style with the different layers, whereas this feels a bit more, I don't know, more grown up, I don't know. So yeah, so that's my plan. I want to make more, I've got a few patterns that I want to try. Oh, I should have, I might just go and get it because I want, shall I get it? Yeah, hold on a minute, I'm going to pause. How do you pause? I don't know, or maybe it's there. No, I'm not going to do that. I don't know. Oh, I've pressed some different buttons now. I don't know if I've made myself too dark. Oh dear. Oh, sorry. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to talk about them. So one of the patterns I wanted to try, and I'd really wanted this pattern for a long time, and it's by Rosary Apparrel, and I've spoken about her, Janelle, in Australia quite a few times. I've watched every single one of her videos. She's a fantastic sewer, and she's got some sewing patterns. And one of her patterns, she's done lots of sort of sew along. So you watch her sewing her particular patterns, and it's called the Rosa dress. It's quite similar to the indigo, as in it's a bodice, but it's a short sleeved and with a gathered skirt and a zip at the back. So I ordered that from Australia. It took ages to come, but I'm really pleased that I've got it because I really wanted to support her because I love her videos so much. And even if you do end up with a few patterns that are similar, but you know, you can sort of hack them a little bit, or I might think, oh, I prefer these sleeves and put them sleeves on. I think her pattern has bust darts and waist darts, but she's also hacked her own pattern and taken the waist darts out to make it a bit more of a looser fit. So yeah, that's another pattern I really want to try. And also I've got the Hinterland dress by So Liberated, and that's a pattern I've liked the look of for a long time. And again, it's a bit more of a looser look, but again quite similar, as in a bodice and a gathered skirt, but there are different variations for sort of like button up at the back or zip, or nothing at all. So yeah, that's my next plan. My next sort of, I think in Easter I might have some time off. I'm going to try and make those 2 dresses. I have ordered some fabric, some sort of fabric that I think, oh yeah, I'd love to make them into a birthday dress. So that's on its way. I'll just show you some of the fabric I've got. Now I don't really know why I chose this. I might have chose it because I love green, but it is very plain. Now I think this might be a poly cotton. Let me just see. Khaki green poly cotton poplin, and this was from Fabworks. I've got 3 meters of it, and it only cost £12, but it feels very cottony. You know, when I've bought poly cotton before, it's felt quite thin, but this feels quite, yeah, a bit thicker. But yeah, seeing it in just plain, I'm thinking, oh, am I going to like that as a dress? But I thought I might use this as a bit of a twirl where I'll do a practice run. So yeah, I'll probably practice the Rosa dress with this, just to get the sizing right, you know, just so that when I do cut into some more expensive fabric, I've given it a trial run. Now this fabric I've had again for about a year, and I bought this thinking, oh, this is going to be really super special. It's black with this sort of burgundy dot in it. I thought that's really lovely. Now this is, yeah, Swiss dot cotton poplin black and burgundy, and this was really cheap as well, but yeah, it feels such lovely fabric. This was 3 meters for, oh, I've put 2 prices there, it's either £12 or £16, but for 3 meters, oh, it feels really lovely. Now I feel like I've really altered something with the light, so I'm so sorry if things are coming out dark, but yeah, you can see it there, the black and the burgundy. So that's a contender for a special dress. And I also bought this one as well, a burgundy with a blue dot. Thought that's really pretty. Although my husband said it looks like a man's handkerchief, but in a dress I think that would be pretty. And again, that was from Fabworks as well. Circular print maroon cotton poplin, 3 meters for £15. So pretty nice, you know, feels lovely fabric, but for really cheap price. So I should be able to get, yeah, dressed easily out of the 3 meters. And then I treated myself. My local studio where I learnt to sew, they sell fabric, and I just thought, oh, I could do with some black. All the dresses I've made have been colourful, but it'd be quite nice to make a black dress. So this is going to be difficult to see, but this is, again, it's like crinkly with a dot. Now I just bought 2 meters of this. Let's see, what's it called? Yeah, black cotton black crinkle Swiss dot viscose. But again, this will be lovely and cool, lovely and drapey. And I just got a couple of meters of this because I know that I can make an indigo now out of 2 meters. So yeah, I'm pleased with that. That'll be a lovely, lovely cool dress. And then I bought this beautiful, this is double gauze, and I've never sewn with that, but whenever I see people wearing double gauze dresses, they always look really cool. So again, it's a bit crinkly, but it's got this gold, and it is actually like a hard, I don't know if it's stitching or hard to see, but a gold dot. How pretty is that? But again, if I made that into a birthday dress, or, you know, a Christmas dress or whatever, a going out dress when we can go out again. So yeah, that's from the studio at number 30, my local studio, a couple of meters each. So yeah, I've got lots of plans, and that's my aim really, to use the patterns I've got, get the sizing right, yeah, find the pattern that suits me the best. I mean, just seeing this compared to I still wear my previous Indigo, but this just, you know, it looks better, I think. I feel really, really happy with it. So they're all my sewing plans. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was, again, when I was going through everything, I was trying to tidy stuff up and make sure, you know, like I say, I'm keeping a record of all the fabric I've got so I can make sure I use it up, and don't just have things lingering around. But I realised that I had kept scraps of all my leftover sewing. And I think Tilly and the Buttons had a little, or it might come on an email the other day, what to do with your scraps. And the first thing, one of the things it said was make pockets out of them. So that's what I've done. Sorry. So I've pre-cut out of all the previous fabric I've ever made dresses out of. I've pre-cut all my pockets. And the pocket pattern that I now follow, before I'd done a self-drafted one, but in fact a lot of those previous dresses with the self-drafted pocket, I obviously hadn't cut a nice straight line, so sometimes I have a little hole along the seam, whereas this pocket pattern is from the Emery dress, and it just is perfect. It's so easy to get a really good, you know, straight line for your inseam pockets. So I suppose, you know, it will need to match with a particular fabric. Like, it's going to be quite hard, although that might go with the green that I've got. Oh, let me have a look. So sometimes having a contrast pocket on something. Oh, how lovely would that be? Because that is the other thing, cutting out 4, you know, pocket bags, you know, 2 sets, still takes up a bit of fabric. And I think if you'd rather use that fabric for your bigger skirt, you know, then it's handy to have a contrast colour pocket. Oh, I think I'm going to do that. That's a perfect match, isn't it? Lovely. Yeah, so I did that. I cut all of the pockets out. I wonder if that would go with it as well. Yeah, look, that probably goes a bit lighter. So anyway, yeah, I've cut loads of pockets out for future project use. But then I had loads of scraps left over, and I'm not in the place where I'm going to be making, I don't think I'm going to be making anything small, like patchwork type quilts and things like that. So I'm going to put it out there. I don't know if this is something that anyone would even want. It's hard to know, isn't it? Because it just feels like it's scraps, but someone might be able to make really good use of it. So I've got a whole bag here. I'll show you. Now, I haven't ironed them, but I've tried to cut things in big, you know, big squares or oblongs, you know, like long strips. Because again, someone might be able to make use of that. And honestly, there's absolutely loads. Bit of denim in there, all the material from dresses, some bits of fat quarters when I made masks. And again, the fat quarter bits are still, you know, decent squares. So yeah, let me know what you think. If I don't want any money for it, I'll happily send this in the post to anyone that could make use of these big bits of fabric. Yeah, this was one of my favourite when I made that dress for my sister in that beautiful mustard. This candy stripe, that's my dad's shirt. I made a few masks out of that. So yeah, honestly, there's absolutely loads. Yeah, loads of big squares or oblongs of fabric in various materials. I've shown you, all the materials I've shown you before. Lots of cottons, lots of viscose. So yeah, if you fancy it, let me know. And the first person to say yes please, I'll send it to you, already in the bag. Now when I evened out all of those edges so they were nice squares, I then was left with loads of scraps. So these are just literal bits and bobs, rather than throwing it in the bin, they're just bits. But the other day I watched on YouTube, I was watching Stylecraft. She had made a couple of like little footstools. Oh God, I've got so many fabric bits in my tea. Might not drink that now. Yeah, she'd made her children little puff, we used to call them puffets, like footstools, and she stuffed them with her scraps. And even, old towels and things like that. So rather than throwing it in the bin, and it's just going to waste, there must be someone out there that would like scraps for that kind of project, where you can stuff. And again, there's a lot of scraps in there, so that would fill a pillow or something. So yeah, it's really weird, isn't it? I just don't want to throw things in the bin, and if someone can make use of them, I'd much rather that. So again, the first person to let me know, if you want the scraps or if you want the squares, yeah, just send me a message down below and I'll get them out to you. And that makes me feel so nice knowing that, I'm using up every bit of yarn, well, I like using up every bit of yarn, but every bit of fabric, and then someone else is making use of it. So yeah, that makes me feel happy. So I think that's probably it. I hope you're all okay. I don't know what I've done to this to make it all go a bit dark. I've pressed some kind of button. So yeah, sorry about that. I really wanted to show you those patterns actually in the packets, and I forgot about that. But again, I'll link them down below so you can see the patterns that I'm talking about. Yeah, I hope it's been helpful. I hope it's encouraging you to, sew or crochet or knit. Yeah, I hope you're enjoying your crafty time. Yeah, take care everyone. It looks like our children might be able to go back to school in a couple of weeks' time. I think we're getting an announcement today by the Prime Minister, but there's lots of hints on the news, so that will be nice. And but my sister's a hairdresser, and I don't think there's any hints about hairdressing going back, and I think I need a haircut. Anyway, yeah, take care everyone. Message me if you fancy a chat and let me know what you think. But please, yeah, if anyone would love the fabric scraps or the squares, let me know. Right, I'm off. See you soon. Take care. Bye.